Hey everybody, so today what I wanted to do is I kind of want to talk about aligning with your soul's true purpose, and how to do that. Because basically what I feel like is going on right now is people are kind of waking up to the fact that they're, living a, a narrative that is out of alignment with a core part of themselves. And it's creating a lot of discomfort and upheaval. And so, to make this process a little easier, I'll just kind of explain my particular way of, my particular cosmology as far as how I look at, the soul. So basically, um, in the previous video, I kind of talked about this idea that, you're not the ego, and the ego is this kind of transient, illusory, um, constantly thing that needs to be constantly built up and knocked down, and so basically our whole identity, everything that we come to believe that we are as the ego, is really just like this really small part of who we actually are, um, and who we actually are is infinite consciousness awareness. So so on this kind of like higher level, um, you are this expanded soul being that is also evolving and having experiences, um, through successive lives as various uh, focuses of being, um, and so because it can't learn everything in one incarnation. So you are the kind of unchanging awareness of it, but you're also this evolving soul that has these particular lessons that it needs to learn as it's growing, as it's becoming more and more aware, moving more and more towards awareness. So, um, as this this soul has these various incarnations, um, it's gonna it's going to have these particular themes that are going to be that it kind of chooses for an incarnation. So even though you have choice within an incarnation, there's going to be these particular themes that are going to be uh, particularly resonant with you, um, and they're going to kind of be like the lessons that keep coming up. It's like whatever you haven't quite learned yet, a particular like important soul lesson, you're going to be presented with those situations where you can learn that lesson. And the reason I'm saying this in connection with aligning with your soul purpose is that, I think what's happening now is that because energies are shifting, what what used to be what used to work in terms of satisfying, and feeling fulfilled is not going to work anymore. So it's like you could have gotten away with avoiding these particular lessons and avoiding like becoming who you really are. But now it's not gonna fly anymore. Um, it's just there's just gonna be this inner sense of something being off. So kind of finding our way back to the path, of our true soul's purpose. Um, the way you're gonna know you are is that it bring is the way that you're gonna know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing here is that it's gonna bring you an unspeakable amount of ecstatic bliss and joy. um, and that's why you always hear this idea of like follow your bliss, and the reason for that is that your your vibratory state of being. We talk about like this idea of staying in a high vibrational mode of existence, and and being in that state of your highest joy, following your highest joy, is the maximum vibration you can have. It's like that's the way to keep your vibration in its most highest form. Um, is and so that's that's your indication of whether or not you are. And most people, I would say, are not living their highest joy for a number of reasons. But a lot of people, they aren't because they don't, on a fundamental level, they don't believe it's possible. And when we don't believe it's possible, we create all these reasons why we can't, live our dreams, or manifest our highest aspirations, or become our fullest expression of self. Um, and so, we just constantly create reasons why that can't be possible, or we don't even believe it to be possible. And so, you can only really manifest something that you actually believe to be possible. So, it kind of like we have to, at the core of how we see things, you know, that's that movement into oneness and abundance. It's realizing that the universe completely supports you in whatever it is, in you manifesting your highest joy. Because and your high I'm telling you right now, your highest joy right now is going to in some way have to do with being of service to humanity in some way. Nothing else is going to feel fulfilling except being of service, because that is soul's purpose ultimately, is being of service and helping other people, um, in some way. And the thing is that every single person has a unique and individual gift, a special way that can uh, that they can contribute to this awakening experience and help other people in their awakening experience. And and that's the thing, is like you will know that when you are in that ecstatic, joyful state. And the more you do that, the more your vibration raises, and the more you are just basically attracting experiences that are going to be more in alignment with your soul purpose. Um, and in a way, you choosing to follow your own soul purpose, and not look at like to external to any kind of external thing for validation, um, that helps others. That's inspiration for others to do the same. Um, I think when you encounter like a self-empowered being, it is really inspiring, because you realize that they're not requiring anything of you, and their their source um, of love and purpose uh, is is inwardly sourced. It comes from within. So they're not like feeding off of you energetically, which a lot of people do, because if if people who are not inwardly sourcing their energy are going to need to get it from other beings around them, and so they're going to basically, it's like a just like a feeding fest, an energetic feeding fest, basically. So, becoming awakened to your purpose and stepping into this new paradigm is like, it's all about that, finding your inward source of validation and your inward source of love. Um, and then you're basically like tapped into um, this limitless resource. You realize that like love is not this like resource that's going to run out. It's like when you find that source within, it's just like this. It's abundance. It's endless. It's limitless, and so it flows through you. It's not something that's you're creating. It's more like you're just like this channel that it flows through, and it's about like removing the obstacles from what's allowing that flow to pass through you. Um, and that's what healing is. It's like your natural state is to be is health and abundance and joy and contentment. Um, that's the natural state. But when things are out of alignment or things are blocked, that's when you have, that those are the things that contribute to, anxiety and depression, disease, just a life out of a life out of alignment, non-harmonious existence. Um, so really, so healing is all about removing the blockages. It's not about like adding something externally. It's about figuring out what is preventing that free flow of love, of energy, and so, and how can we, allow that to flow through us? So any kind of healing that's done, you know, you can't be healed if you don't, like, you're doing the healing ultimately by by removing the blockages. So like, a healer or something, um, there are people who can facilitate that, but ultimately it's you that has to want to heal yourself. It's and you can't begin to heal yourself until you acknowledge that there are blockages. You can't clear them out until you acknowledge that they're there. Once you acknowledge that they're there, it becomes a lot easier. Um, and so like a healer or is basically just putting you in touch with the, like is allowing the universal healing force to flow through them and to uh, to work on the energy field of the person who's receiving it, who's allowing themselves to be healed. So, in healing can take a lot of different forms. I think that you know there's a lot of hands-on healing, but there's also just emotional healing of that you can do yourself, of just going inward and really reviewing yourself and your patterns and the things that you really don't want to look at, the things that you hide away in like darkness of your unconscious, and really just untie those knots and allow yourself to be healed and just like let go of that baggage, because a lot of it is just it's not even yours. It's like recognizing that it's not you. It has nothing to do with you. It's just some kind of like pattern of emotional or mental pattern that you acquired in your incarnational experience. So it's like waking up to this larger aspect of yourself, remembering that you're really soul source consciousness having a human experience. You've done this before. You've done this a count like infinite times before in various ways, um, and you know, kind of try and get back in line with what you're here to do, because that's what's gonna feel, you know, that's what's gonna feel, that's what's gonna feel right. Is like when you're back in line with that. And so I would say like align yourself with healing, because that's the direction of the current. That's the direction that things are going in. You know, this the current is the flow. So the more you kind of can go with in that direction, the way that things are moving, the less you resist. Because resistance is what causes the suffering. It's the resisting. It's the holding on that hurts. It's not the letting go that hurts. It's the holding on. It's like if you're on the shore, like, and you're holding on to the shore, you're gonna feel like you're being ripped apart. And it's only it's only when you let go and you kind of you trust in the way that that the current is going. You trust that the current has its own direction. So, um, yeah, I think, you know, said a lot again. But, yeah, it's just about listening, listening to your heart, and moving from, like, the, the head, the mind telling the heart what to feel, into the heart telling the mind what to think, really. Because your heart, no, the heart is where the answer is. It's not up here. It's here. So, on that note, again, I wish you much love and a fast awakening.